सो गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन। और आप सभी का इस सेशन में आई जस्ट वेलकम यू। आज का इन्वेस्टर, अगर हम आज के टॉपिक की बात करें, सो इट्स आउटबाउंड आउटबाउंड गिफ्ट सिटी फंड्स बेसिकली। सो इन्वेस्टर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आज के जो इन्वेस्टर्स हैं वो इंडिया की ग्रोथ स्टोरी को तो उन्होंने अपने पोर्टफोलियो में रखा ही हुआ है। दे हैव इन्वेस्टेड इन सो मेनी स्टॉक, सो मेनी प्रोडक्ट्स जो इंडिया में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं। बल्कि आज के इन्वेस्टर्स ग्लोबल अपॉर्चुनिटी को भी कैप्चर करना चाहते हैं। अब वो चाहे बात हो आपके टेक्नोलॉजी फ्रंट में, टेक्नोलॉजी की, या हेल्थ केयर जो इनोवेट हो रहा है उसकी, या जो डेवलप्ड मार्केट की इकोनॉमीज है वहां पर आपको पार्टिसिपेट करना है। सो इन्वेस्टर्स इंक्रीजिंगली एंड स्लोली एंड स्टडीली अपने पोर्टफोलियो को ज्योग्राफिकली डाइवर्सिफाई करना चाहते हैं। उसके बहुत सारे बेनिफिट्स भी हैं। सो दैट इज देयर, बट चैलेंज इन टर्म्स ऑफ, अगर हम प्रोडक्ट्स की बात करें तो चैलेंज ये है कि ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टिंग को सिंपली और कंप्लाइंट वे से हम कैसे इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं। और यहाँ पर ही अगर हम देखें तो गिफ्ट सिटी आज की डेट में, अगर आप न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे हो या आप सोशल मीडिया में हो, तो आप देख रहे होंगे कि गिफ्ट सिटी इज बिकमिंग स्लोली इन स्टडी वेरी पॉपुलर। एंड ये जो गिफ्ट सिटी रूट है, जो इन्वेस्ट हम अक्रॉस अब्रॉड वी कैन इन्वेस्ट इनटू, ये इंडियन इन्वेस्टर्स को बहुत ही रेगुलेटेड फ्रेमवर्क प्रोवाइड करता है जहां पर आप इंटरनेशनल इन्वेस्टिंग को एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं। सो आज के इस सेशन में हम आउटबाउंड गिफ्ट सिटी फंड्स को डिटेल में समझेंगे, और इस इमर्जिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी को हम कैसे क्लाइंट्स के पोर्टफोलियो तक ले जा सकते हैं, दैट वी विल अंडरस्टैंड। एंड इसी टॉपिक को हमें गाइड करने के लिए हमारे साथ है मिस्टर आदित्य पिंटो। ही इज अ सीनियर मैनेजर स्ट्रेटेजिक अलायंसेस एट DSP म्यूचुअल फंड। So Aditya have a more than a decade's experience across asset management company, banking side and the investment solution side. And Aditya, thank you for joining us today.
Thank
And
you.
we look forward to hearing your insights on Gift City funds and the opportunity that presents to Indian investors in the present time. Thank you.
Per- Perfect. Thank you, Ritu, for the introduction. Let me just share my screen. Give me a second. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. तो आजकल सब लोग क्लाइंट्स बोल रहे हैं कि INR डॉलर इज टेकिंग अ बीटिंग, क्रूड ऑयल इज मूविंग अबव $100, $80, 85 पे रेंज बाउंड हो रहा है. हाउ आर यू प्रोटेक्टिंग योर पोर्टफोलियोज? एक प्रॉक्सी है, आप गोल्ड ले सकते हो या कमोडिटीज, गोल्ड या सिल्वर. बट फॉर डॉलर एसेट कितना पोर्शन है अभी अभी के क्लाइंट्स में टुडे व्हेन इट कम्स टू वर्सेस द इंडियन डोमेस्टिक पोर्टफोलियो? डाइवर्सिफिकेशन और नॉन कोरिलेटेड एसेट्स, लो कोरिलेशन एसेट्स कितने डाइवर्सिफाइड है ब्रॉडली? तो मैं आपको DSP ग्लोबल इक्विटी के बारे में थोड़ी बहुत स्ट्रक्चर बताऊंगा, बट बिफोर दैट वील टॉक लिटिल बिट अबाउट वाई ग्लोबल. इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक क्योंकि क्लाइंट्स बताएंगे कि मेरा पूरा इन्वेस्टमेंट तो इंडिया मार्केट में है, वाई शुड आई हैव एन एक्सपोजर ग्लोबली, राइट? अभी one example is very simple is I'll go on to share is today, right? Diversification plays a very pivotal role क्लाइंट के पोर्टफोलियोज में. अभी आपने देखा होगा लास्ट 2.5 years हाउ मल्टी एसेट फंड्स हैव प्लेड रेलेवेंस क्लाइंट के पोर्टफोलियोज में, एंड दे हैव done much more better than the broader market. And if you go to see today, even in a multi-asset category, very few of multi-assets के पास global exposure रहेगा, क्योंकि वो RBI limits भी एक है जो सबके limits exhaust हो गए हैं. तो वो tinge of flavor of global is very limited over there. But that one of the few funds we also have global exposure. It has given merit client के portfolio में. Why global exposure is important? Because global underlying portfolios have done very well. जब domestic market last 2.5 years have not done well since September 24, right? Clients के पास भी when they invest overseas in dollar assets, कि कोई उनके बच्चों के लिए पढ़ाई के लिए उन लोग यूएस बेचते हैं, यूरोप बेचते हैं, यू नीड टू हैव डॉलर डिनोमिनेटेड इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, वहाँ काम पे आता है, और वे यू वांट टू मूव ओवरसीज, फॉरेन सिटीजनशिप लेना है, राइट? दैट इज अनदर वेरी प्लान्ड रिक्वायरमेंट इन टर्म्स ऑफ अ लॉन्ग टर्म डॉलर एसेट गोल. द अदर अपॉर्चुनिटी इज, आज अगर आप मुझे पूछेंगी ग्लोबल कंपनीज, इंडिया से कितने कंपनीज है आपके पोर्टफोलियो में, राइट? वेरी लिमिटेड कंपनीज आर देयर विच आर ग्लोबल. बट आप आज नेटफ्लिक्स देखते हो, आप स्पॉटिफाई यूज करते हो, आप amazon से ऑर्डर करते हो, आपके ये अंडरलाइंग कंपनीज आपके पोर्टफोलियो में है कि नहीं? अगर नहीं है, वाई आर दे नॉट देयर? आप तो एक यूजर हो, यू आर यूजिंग दीज कंपनीज इनडायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली, बी टू सी या बी टू बी कंपनीज होंगे, डे इन एंड डे आउट. So why should you not own these companies? These are good, robust companies which are operating globally. And that is ये broad idea है. Today market cap के हिसाब से India is only 3 to 4% of the broader market or world global market over there. So why should your portfolio, 100% portfolio, be only limited to India? There's a very strong merit when India is only 4 to 5%. You should have some global exposure, maybe 10%, maybe 20%, maybe 30%. That is completely आपके client के risk appetite के profile के हिसाब से, right? But broadly, over here I'll just share little bit in terms of numbers कि correlation कितना different है with regards to Indian companies, Indian market versus US, China, Europe, Japan. Correlation is slightly, there is a relatively lower correlation over here. आपके left hand side में chart रहेगा where there is 59-60% correlation with the US, 53% with China. So broadly, low correlated asset or economies in your underlying portfolio is actually a warranted solution when markets are not doing well in India or any given country. Hence the need of diversification. And globally also, if you have a good, अच्छा खासा ग्लोबल पोर्टफोलियो है आपके पास, आपका डाउनसाइड भी रिलेटिवली नॉट बी लिमिटेड टू वन गिवन कंट्री. So you will have a little less downside in terms of very, whenever broad markets are falling in a very specific country. Hence, it's better to have a global diversification. I will skip this one. So these are the kind of companies you're looking at. What we are talking about, Nintendo is one of the most famous gaming companies out there. Puma is very well known as a sportwear brand. Universal Studios is one of the big three music label companies worldwide. आपको out of every seven top songs that you hear, or out of every 10 songs, seven songs are royalties given to Universal Music Group Studios. इनके IP है वो particular song में, where 70% of revenue goes directly to Universal Music Group. One of the few companies dominating that space. Like tripmy.com we have, which is equivalent of make my trip, Airbnb, Lululemon sporting companies, right? Lilly, which is a pharma company, GLP-1 drugs आपने सुना होगा, right? So these are the kind of equivalent unique businesses which are not there in India today. अगर नहीं है, then we should, why should we not have these exposure? अगर उनके growth aspects अच्छे हैं, ROIC बेहतर है, still growing faster in the market, market leaders है, dominating companies, right? अभी uh, when you see last 10 years अगर आप देखोगे, is only once you will see where India has outperformed global. That is in 2022. Canada has been in 2016. US has come at least four times over there. Sorry, five times over there. South Korea, in fact, not even last year, even this year, South Korea is dominating. 3 out of last 10 years, South Korea has dominated global indices, right? So leaders will always change and it will not be specific to any given country. Hence, the need of having a global portfolio is very, very important today, right? I'll go on to little bit before I go on to what DSP Global Equity Fund is. More sure to what the returns are globally. So the expectation कि global returns कैसे होते हैं. Just because आपके पास global portfolio doesn't necessarily mean कि returns कम है. आप dollar asset denominated assets में returns बना रहे हैं, right? In the last 20 years, right? 20 years, 25 years, INR has depreciated. INR has depreciated broadly by 3%. right? So you're looking at, if a dollar return is around 10%, INR returns would be broadly 3 to 4% more at today's given terms over a longer period of time. But that is not a given, right? These numbers could always change. Now, in the last 20 years, if you to go to see last 10 median years, global indices, world indices has given close to a 8% dollar returns. US has given a 12% dollar returns, right? So it is not a norm that returns are essentially uh, uh, the median returns that you're looking at is very healthy. 8 to 12% are very good rolling number returns for a long period of time. We are talking about the last 20 years, last 10 years, last 15 years. And they have done much more better when you look at multiple phases over across periods. So what we have over here is हमारे पास एक वन आउटबाउंड फंड है जिसको बोलते हैं डीएसपी ग्लोबल इक्विटी फंड. दिस इज अ रिटेल फंड स्ट्रक्चर. ये एक एआईएफ नहीं है. एक नया कैटेगरी है कॉल्ड एज रिटेल कैटेगरी. ये आईएफएससी रेगुलेशंस में, जो गिफ्ट सिटी रेगुलेशंस में, ये एक आउटबाउंड फंड रजिस्टर्ड किया गया है. सो यहाँ बेसिकली दिस इज अकिन टू अ म्यूचुअल फंड इन्वेस्टमेंट, जहाँ की मिनिमम टिकट साइज यहाँ $5,000 है, यू कैन इन्वेस्ट. एंड ये पर्टिकुलर फंड डायरेक्टली ग्लोबल लिस्टेड कंपनीज में इन्वेस्ट करता है, डायरेक्ट स्टॉक्स में. कोई ईटीएफ नहीं ले रहा है, कोई फीडर फंड नहीं ले रहा है. वी आर बाइंग डायरेक्ट स्टॉक्स ओवर हियर. सो ये इसका फंड स्ट्रक्चर है, राइट. नाउ ब्रॉडली ये स्ट्रैटेजी कैसे काम करता है? हम कोई कुछ की मार्केट्स देख रहे हैं ब्रॉडली. यूएस, यूरोप में तीन कंट्रीज है, स्विट्जरलैंड, जर्मनी, स्विट्जरलैंड, जर्मनी एंड फ्रांस, राइट. ऑल्सो यूके इज ऑल्सो देयर. हांगकांग में चाइनीज लिस्टेड कंपनीज देख रहे हैं. सो इवन दो चाइना इज नॉट मेंशन हियर, मैं चाइनीज कंपनीज इन हांगकांग लिस्टेड मार्केट से खरीद रहा हूँ. ताइवान है, साउथ कोरिया है, जापान है, कनाडा है. नाउ आई एम नॉट लिमिटेड टू ओनली दीज मार्केट्स. मैं कोई दूसरे मार्केट में भी देख सकता हूँ. मे बी इफ आई लाइक अ साउथ साउथ अमेरिकन कंपनी और एनी यूरोपियन कंपनी, आई विल गो एंड बाय दैट स्टॉक, राइट. यहाँ ब्रॉडली मार्केट कैप का जो रिक्वायरमेंट है कि मैं कोई भी लेस देन $30 बिलियन मार्केट कैप की कंपनीज नहीं लेने वाला हूँ. मोस्टली ये सब मेगा कैप्स है, ग्लोबल मेगा कैप्स. देयर विल बी सम एक्सेप्शंस कि मैं $30 बिलियन के नीचे भी ले सकता हूँ, बट दैट इज सब्जेक्टिव इन नेचर, डिपेंडिंग अगर अपॉर्चुनिटी अराइज होता है कि नहीं. ये पर्टिकुलर फंड एक्सट्रीमली इंडेक्स एग्नोस्टिक है. आई विल नॉट बी फॉलोइंग एनी इंडेक्स, कंट्री एग्नोस्टिक. इट इज लॉन्ग ओनली स्ट्रैटेजी हियर. आई कैन नॉट हेज ओवर हियर एट ऑल, राइट. और ये थोड़ा कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड एक्सपोजर रहेगा, ब्रॉडली क्लोज टू 30 to 50 stocks is what you will see. In most cases, there will be 30 to 40 stocks in the underlying portfolio. Goal of the fund is to give a 12 to 13% gross dollar returns in the underlying portfolio. ये कैसे अचीव करते हैं? By looking at buying company जिसके 6 to 7% earnings growth रहते हैं और shareholder yield से 2 to 4% का returns मिलता है over longer term. And rest of the return metric will be contributed to as and when the stocks have that kind of re-rating and growth prospect, that kicker of returns will accumulate to give that 12 to 13% dollar returns. Now, how are we looking at the entire investment profile of these companies is that कि मैं I am looking to buy companies at 30 to 40% historical median valuation discount to their fair value. So valuation is a very important metric. जब fund manager खरीद रहा है, he is looking at relatively much more cheaper historical valuation than what it historically has been, right? And that is how the underlying portfolio construct is going to be, right? Now, ये एक short philosophy है in terms of what the fund manager thinks. His focus is purely on acquiring businesses in long term. So we will not buy any kind of underlying stock keep for 1 year or a 2 year horizon. When we are really buying, we're really looking at least a 3 to 5 year horizon plus period that we're looking to hold, right? And the main goal is we will not buy something in terms of which would result in permanent loss of capital, uh, which is why sound valuation is very important, right? Uh, Now, आज के दिन में नरेटिव्स बहुत सुनाई दे रहे हैं। एआई, सेमीकंडक्टर स्टॉक्स रिटर्न्स बहुत दे दिए हैं। लास्ट 1 year has given 200, 300, 400, 2 years plus. Nvidia has given 400, 500%, trading at 5.5 trillion market cap. You have Samsung, SK Hynix. So we are not going to participate in hot trends or narratives over there. वहाँ प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है कि वैल्यूएशंस एकदम वेरी एक्सपेंसिव मल्टीपल्स पे ट्रेड होते रहते हैं, and I rather not buy these kind of company in my portfolio, because tomorrow when the market falls, which will, these companies will have bear the biggest brunt, और आपके client portfolios में underlying effect होगा. So valuation is very important, especially when we are buying underlying companies. We will not be chasing hot trends over here, right? So under the idea is to buy them at a very fair value or discount to their fair valuation, right? Now the idea here is, what kind of sectors will I buy? What kind of sectors I'll not buy? Let me tell it, what are we not looking at when we are first of all buying these companies? We want to buy companies that are जो अगले 10 साल में कुछ चेंज नहीं होने वाला है। हर एक बिजनेस का साइकिल रहता है, हर एक बिजनेस का बूम और स्लम पीरियड रहता है, बट आइडियली इन टर्म्स ऑफ, is their distribution strong, is their mode there, is the execution very well, are they niche good in their, do they have a hook जहाँ की consumers love their products a lot, no matter what the price is today, they will still keep buying it. अगर आप नेटफ्लिक्स ने आपका सब्सक्रिप्शन 10% ज़्यादा बढ़ा दिया, आप फिर भी देख लोगे, you will still pay for it because you love the shows that is coming on Netflix today, right? Mostly you will buy all your shopping products either from something like an Amazon today, because Amazon lists every single product over there, but Amazon also has their cloud businesses. So we're looking at these kind of companies that will not change. Maybe underlying product will not change, execution will not change, maybe management will not change. Now that is what we are broadly looking at. We don't know what is going to change in the next 10 years, hence we are focusing on what is going to remain the same, right? Every business will have a shelf life. So what I actually mean by that is that her business are broadly who have been through multiple cycles, ये niche business होंगे, compounding machines होंगे, which are improving with time, no matter what business cycle they are in. They are more resilient companies जो along with that they keep on improving their metrics, whether they are reinvesting cash flows, their product metrics are better, distribution is better, margin expansions are slowly improving over a period of time. So longevity of these businesses is more important than what they do in a span of 1 to 2 years. I need to say, where can they survive the next 10 years, 20 years, and can they do what they're doing today, tomorrow as well, right? They should not be companies that get easily disrupted. So hence we are looking at broadly these company, and on the right hand side आप देखेंगे कि ये sectors हम लेंगे broadly. Most of the sectors are included: power companies, global consumer brands, technology companies, engineering, retail, auto, asset managers, credit rating, general insurance, luxury, metals and mining as well, right? Now there are some exclusions in terms of what companies I don't take, which I'll go on to explain later. But opportunities of getting stable businesses as not very limited. If you say Amazon was the only opportunity, there were some most popular name like Brookfield as an asset management firm, which has done very well in the last 25 years. Very diverse asset management business in private equity, in real estate, and in other sources of businesses, which has created shareholders' wealth. Luxury goods like LVMH was not very popular back then, right? But it has compounded steadily over a long period of time. Berkshire Hathaway or Walmart. These are the kind of opportunities that we are looking for in terms of when we are buying these kind of stable, high shelf life businesses who are resilient businesses who stick around for a long period of time and keep growing their market share, right? Today people are not that conscious when when we are investing in domestic market कि आप कौन से मल्टीपल्स कौन से भाव में खरीद रहे हो. डीमार्ट टुडे, right, is trading at much more higher multiples, 100 times multiple, इनके 5 year revenue CAGR, operating margin, net margin और ROICs broadly is the same. I have a similar counterpart जो Dinopols का है, a Polish company. Same metrics as DMart, but उसका valuation है 30-35 times multiples. And is trading at one third, less than one third the valuation of a DMart today. So why should I actually look at India when I can get cheaper multiple solid businesses outside, right? Same way, another example is at Asian Paints. We have Sharon William, which is a US equivalent company of Asian Paints. Same issue over there. Is trading at 30 times multiple versus a Asian Paint trading at 70-80 times multiple over here. So price matters at what you pay. Just because you get a good business at a hefty valuation doesn't mean they are good businesses. You're paying the wrong price for these businesses. Now exclusions की बात मैं कर रहा था. So broadly ये underlying stock selection framework is coming from MSCI Acqui. MSCI Acqui जो index है, around 2,900 companies are there. Out of those 2,900 companies, अगर मैं 300 entire universe ले लो, right, of $30 billion market cap की universe, you're looking at 400 broad companies which are there. और वहाँ exclusion जो है sector में, I am not going to buy bank और lending companies. Historically, अगर आप देखोगे, global banks typically have not been contributors to shareholders' wealth. Tobacco companies, gambling companies, and poor governance companies are exclusions from the underlying portfolio, right? We're looking at companies that can scale faster than the market, who possibly could be the next market leaders or are the market leaders today, with predictability of cash flows, right? Now, yeah, in terms of the team, today the team doesn't just sit over your desk और सब sell side report देख के decide करते कि कौन सा company खरीद लेता है. We have a 4-member team, 2 analysts and 2 managers here, जो every month they travel overseas. Last month they went to Japan and Singapore. Previously they went to China and US. Europe also they have been, UK and Canada. So they always go in global conferences, meet management, meet the vendors over there, try to understand what is the real scuttable dynamics वहाँ के क्या है realities, channel checks करते हैं. और वो हिसाब से based on that and the reports and their research with broadly decide कि कौन से businesses है which fits in my framework of growth rate, जहाँ की they have good quality of earnings, low leverage, जिनके basically normalized earning estimate के हिसाब से, valuation के हिसाब से, am I getting the company at the right price, right? So around 30 to 50 stocks what you're looking at, but in most cases the fund manager might have 30 to 40 stocks as far as I know, right? This is broadly a position sizing framework, but most of the heavy weights over there, consistent compounders, will have a large weight of 4 to 6%, 3 to 4%, where they have reasonable, decent comfort with a limited track record. They will have 3 to 4% weight there, and certain special situation or a tactical bet over there, or deep cyclical bets will have a lower weight of 2 to 3%, right? And whenever the thesis doesn't hold true, maybe you on the management change, underlying fundamentals change, something that would impact the underlying net margins or net revenue or the ROICs, their growth prospects. At those point in time, then we will probably think of trimming or exiting these particular stocks based on that framework, right? So these are the entire universe of stocks that come under the underlying index, and these are the kind of revenue growth rates. So if you look at US May, we have 150, 160 companies with a median ROI of last 10 years around 18%. But if you narrow it down, how many of these companies are giving revenue CAGR 10% के ऊपर? You're only getting 51 companies. Close to one third companies only are delivering the minimum criteria that we need. So the universe becomes relatively much more smaller in terms of when we see the ROC is median revenue growth, right? Same goes for other companies as well in different countries. So this is a broad top 10 holdings of the underlying fund, right? This is as of May end, right? So we close to have roughly around 28 names in the underlying portfolio. I have close to around 25% cash. Uh, I'll share a little bit in terms of I'll go to the portfolio again a little later, but I'll share a little bit on the sector allocation over here. So most of it right now is with media and entertainment companies, followed by financial services and consumer discretionary and durable companies. These compromises the largest portion of my top three sector positions over there. And if you see on the right hand side, अगर आप देखोगे geographically, I am not skewed to any given country. MSCI एक्वी इंडेक्स में मोस्ट ग्लोबल इंडाइसेस में 50-60% यूएस ही रहता है टोटल ओवरऑल मार्केट कैप कंपनीज. ये पोर्टफोलियो सेक्टर और कंट्री एग्नोस्टिक है. सो यूएस comprise of 30-31% today. China is around 15%. अंडरलाइन हमारे पास एक गार्ड रेल है कि चाइना के लिए स्पेसिफिकली द फंड मैनेजर विल नॉट बी गोइंग बियॉन्ड 30% at any given point in time. This is because of certain governance issues and his past experience that he's had with Chinese companies during his experience. He's more comfortable with within a 30% exposure there, right? That is the only guardrail. Otherwise, I have no restriction in how much I need to take in a given country allocation over there. But the overall country allocation जो आप देख रहे हो यहाँ on the right hand side, it is an outcome of bottom up stock picking. इज नॉट डिसाइडेड कि मुझे यूएस इतना एक्सपोजर चाहिए, यूरोप में इतना एक्सपोजर चाहिए, चाइना और ताइवान में सो एंड सो एक्सपोजर इज रिक्वायर्ड. दिस इज प्योर आउटकम ऑफ अ बॉटम अप एक्सपोजर, राइट? अभी टैक्सेशन कैसा है ये पर्टिकुलर फंड के लिए? योर शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स एनीथिंग लेस देन 24 months holding period. So everything is taxed at the fund level. Investors don't pay tax directly from their end. Tax is paid at the fund level. cat 3 AIF के समान टैक्स फंड लेवल पे पे होता है. अगर बियॉन्ड 2 years होल्डिंग पीरियड रहता है, इस 15% इज द लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स. 12.5% जो रहता है लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स विद सेस एंड सरचार्ज ऑलमोस्ट 15% रहता है. Now, if it is less than 2 years, short-term capital gains वो marginal slab में 42-43% रहता है, and dividends will be taxed at 36%. Now, resident investors, no taxation will apply. For non-residents, it will be very dependent on country-specific laws. What will be the tax based on your home country taxation laws, right? Middle East and all, they might not have zero tax will be applicable for them. So it's very subjective on the country, but more lucrative for resident Indians because everything is taxed at the fund level over there. There might be no incidences of double taxation, right? So Natraj is our main fund manager over here. He has 25 years overall experience. He joined us around close to 3 years back. He's purely a long focus equity strategies he manages. He was earlier with Quantum Mutual Fund Advisors, where he was managing sovereign and global mandates over there. He's also managing GCC, some sovereign mandates as well. So he has 5 years experience in global emerging market broadly. Here he manages a global equity fund. The fund is roughly close to around $40 million today. Um, right? And he also manages two other long only funds with us, which is High Conviction Fund and a Bharat Nirman Fund. Jayesh is the other member in the team as well. He has 5 years experience in a long short portfolio with Edelweiss Global Markets. He was a portfolio manager over there. He had a very impressive track record and understanding of developed markets globally, which is why he was considered for this particular fund. Right. So um, सो ब्रॉडली दिस विल कम, ये आपके एलआरएस लिमिट के हिसाब से आएगा, वे $250,000 इज द मैक्स लिमिट आप ट्रांसफर कर सकते हो पर पैन कार्ड इन अ गिवन फाइनेंशियल ईयर. दिस लिमिट विल बी रिन्यूड एवरी ईयर, right? So your basically taxation is at the fund level. It's a very easy process. A simple application form, Aadhaar card, PAN card, and a cancel check is as easy as that. Right now, we are doing a physical process completely, but our team is always there to help you out in terms of need a smoother transition there. We will eventually launch a digital version as well in the coming months, right? So we are governed not by SEBI but at by IFCA, and that is International Financial Services Centers Authority, which is for all gift city related funds will come under IFCA over there, right? Now this is an open-ended fund broadly, and this is a dollar denominated fund. So अगर आप invest कर रहे हो, you will transfer money in US dollars. अगर आपके clients के पास dollar denominated assets है, मे बी डॉलर यूएसडी एसेट्स इंडिया में है या ओवरसीज में है, दे कैन इन्वेस्ट एज वेल फ्रॉम देयर. So they can just link those bank account for KYC purpose, and they can deposit and withdraw in the same account, presuming it is the same investor that bank account and the application form, right? There is no lock-in in this product, right? $5,000 is a minimum, 100% upfront capital. Any subsequent आपको additional investment करना है, minimum investment $500 है, $500 and above for any additional purchase. और अगर आपको अर्ली रिडेम्पशन करना है, देयर इज अ अर्ली रिडेम्पशन फी ऑफ 1% अगर आप 2 साल के अंदर रिडीम करते हो, राइट? इसके एनएवी डेली डिस्क्लोज किया जाता है हमारे वेबसाइट, गिफ्ट सिटी वेबसाइट पे. Redemption as well as investment NAVs shared on a daily basis. इसका टोटल एक्सपेंस रेशियो है जो मैनेजमेंट फी है, इज 1.75%, right? There is no performance fee applicable in this given fund. I'll just share a little bit on the portfolio today. So this is, ये आपका fact sheet है जो you will get every month, right? This is an old fact sheet. I have removed this fact sheet primarily because, wait, let me just check. Okay, that's what I was wondering. $32 million shows in this fact sheet. I've got $8 more million in the last 17 days. So we are at $40 million, but so this is the correct fact sheet over here. So benchmark is MSCI Acqui. If any investors who are coming on board, please tell them that this is not कोई re-rating सब नहीं होगा ये underlying portfolio में. When you're buying really solid businesses, compounding machines for a long period of time. आपको मैं share कर लेता हूँ in terms of what are the kind of stocks that are in the top 10 stocks. So Amazon is there, which is the highest position. TSMC is there. Now AI and semiconductor stocks, this is the only one such stock which is there in TSMC. The only reason I have bought TSMC today is because it is trading at 18 times multiple at much more cheaper valuation than your other semiconductor company counterparts. Because of geopolitical risk in South Korea, is trading at much cheaper valuations, and to not miss out on the rally and I'm getting something at a much cheaper multiple, I have taken that position. एडेन इज वन ऑफ द स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट पेमेंट प्रोसेसिंग कंपनीज. ये आपका अमेजोन का पूरा पेमेंट प्रोसेसिंग करता है, पूरा एडेन. ये नेदरलैंड्स बेस्ड कंपनी है. मेटा इज देयर, अल्फाबेट, टेंसेंट इज देयर, गेमिंग कंपनी. कॉन्स्टलेशन सॉफ्टवेयर इज लाइक is similar to a Motherson Sumi of IT businesses. ये niche software company है which keeps on acquiring other niche software businesses from time to time to grow and increase their market leadership in their niche spaces. Berkshire, Fairfax is there. Nexon is like a Polycap equivalent based in Europe. So much more cheaper multiple, market leader, growing faster in the market there. Very lucrative, interesting company as well as compared to what we have over here is very expensive. In fact, Polycab's headquarters is right below us. But yeah, so this is the underlying company. Not skewed आपका S&P 500 या Nasdaq typical exposure नहीं है. You are not getting vanilla names. You are getting really good underlying quality. So every month we share a newsletter and a fact sheet. To top it all, only top 10 holding is shared to you every time. And at the end of every quarter, we share the entire holdings, which is shared on a quarterly basis. So last quarter to जो था March end पे, this was, I'll just share you the entire quarterly holding. So basically, this is like a newsletter, you could say. This is how we write कि geographical portfolio overview कैसा है, market cap allocation कैसा है. This is from pen down from the fund manager's thought process. So you know exactly what the fund manager is thinking when he's buying these companies, the way he's positioning these companies. तो आपको एक regular communication आता है हमारी तरफ से in terms of what is really happening in the broader market, portfolio में क्या हो रहा है, right? let me just. Okay, so this is the entire portfolio as of March end, right? If you see, I have London Stock Exchange, I have bookings.com, one of the largest global travel companies there, PDD Holding, which is like a social commerce there. I have Prudential PSC, Insurance, Anta Sports, which is a Chinese sports company, Puma is there, DeLonghi is a European consumer appliances company, right? Brookfield is there in the asset management space, BYD is there, Lululemon Sports Athleisure is there, uh, Deckers is there. So these are broadly very diversified companies that you're looking at. आपको ऐसे broadly portfolio companies you will not get in any underlying index. Moreover, most of the funds out there today सब feeder funds या ETFs है, right? So if your customer likes to hold good global businesses, this is one really good way, interesting way to get exposure to the overall uh, portfolio. Happy to take any questions. Ritu, should we open up for any questions from the team?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you for explaining nicely about the product and how do you guys manage this particular product. Yes, I think I am getting a couple of questions here.
Okay.
And would request participants, if you have any questions, please आप chat box में डाल दीजिए. I'll take up questions one by one. Okay, so first is about the taxation. What would be the taxation on this particular product?
So I have already covered the taxation, but I'll repeat it again. Long-term capital gains taxes 15% beyond 2 years. This is paid at the fund level. Investor doesn't pay separately. Less than 2 years is your marginal slab at 40 to 43%. Right, that is your taxation over there. And this is not based on his holding periods on the underlying fund like a Cat 3 AIF. So, agar if maybe 80% of my holding has finished a 2 year holding period plus, then they will be taxed as per that when I exit or redeem those funds. Very similar to Cat 3 AIF,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay.
So,
Okay. So the next question is, I think, couple of questions on the taxation side. People are more worried about taxation nowadays. One question is, NRIs are allowed to invest in this fund?
yes, they are allowed to invest. There are certain restrictions that I cannot take certain countries,
Okay.
but that is very subjective. If once you share with specific country, then I can, we can always get back to you. But keep an open mind. If there are any NRIs who would like to invest, just let us know. We will check if those countries are applicable or not. But there are very few restrictions like a US, Europe, Singapore. These are some of the countries where we don't have regulatory licenses to sell in these countries, which is why we can't take it. But just check with us whenever you have any kind of prospective clients from any country. We'll check and get back to you. But NRIs can invest. Yeah.
Okay. And then the next question is on the minimum lump sum amount investment. I think $5,000
Is
is
the minimum investment, yes. And
around
subsequent
400.
investment will be $500 plus.
Okay, okay, okay. So very, very interesting question is how long we can hold the fund for getting 30% return.
30% return. I'll have to buy AI stock in my portfolio for you then. But see, the long-term expectation for this fund, you have to keep is 12 to 13% gross returns, dollar returns, right? So if you translate that to in INR terms, catch 3% more kicker from 12, 13%. So you're looking at 15, 16% INR returns, broadly over longer period of time. Right now, I don't have control over the currency, so I will not be able to answer when those 3% or 4% appreciation happens from dollar to INR. But if you are holding this portfolio, This, if you look at these companies, these are the kind of companies you use directly or indirectly, and they are decadal portfolio. They are not the kind of portfolio you would like to hold for 1 or 2 years. So if you're really looking to have a portfolio in a dollar denominated asset, please keep it as a long term allocation in your portfolio, and look at least a 3 to 5 year period. Otherwise, I would not recommend you. It won't be tax efficient for you.
Okay, okay. And the next question is on exit load. Aditya, what would be the exit load
So
in this?
we don't have an exit load. We have an early exit fee of 1% if you exit less than 2 years from
Yeah.
the time you've joined.
Yeah, so
So,
Prashant asked one question, interesting. Even I was about to ask you. You are holding currently, I think, 20% or 22% kind of a cash allocation in
hmm,
your portfolio.
hmm.
So, what is the reason? I mean, is this a valuation comfort or is there any other reason?
No. So the fund started on 22nd of September last year. We started at $2 million. Today is currently at $40 million. As you see, the last fact sheet was at $32 million as of May end. Now the thing is, we've been very gradually deploying money. When we initially deployed money, we started deploying around 30-35% in the initial month. And slowly the fund manager was deploying money. Now, if I have to buy when market जब market तेजी में है, when market is hot, given global returns, you will see last 2 years everywhere how the returns have been. And my philosophy is to buy at 30 to 40% below historical median valuation. You tell me how will I find companies? Which is why deployment has been gradual. Cash is not a decision, it is an outcome of not being able to get companies under those fair valuations. Hence, cash is still there in the portfolio. There's no other reason. Cash as a call is never taken on the portfolio.
Okay, okay. So on the portfolio side, one thing I would like to ask you, as you said, that is a value portfolio and very much it's a bottom-up approach you guys are following up, right?
Right.
Means we will never see the very hot technology kind of a stocks in this portfolio, or there is certain allocations you can take in such kind of a stocks.
No. See, today, let's say the hottest theme is AI and semiconductor.
Right.
Right. So let me share my screen a little bit. I was just reading through some articles of at Wall Street, right? I think my screen visible.
Yes,
So
please.
this is Wall Street Journal. Okay. So this is, you're looking at all the semiconductor stocks. Just look at it. Look at where S&P 500 is 2026, and look at where Sandex, SK Hynix, Intel, Micron, Samsung is. They are all 200 plus $1 billion companies. 200, $250 billion companies, right?
Mm. Mm.
Now, think you would see a similar chart in dot com bubble. Now, would you want me to buy these kind of stocks at this point in time, or would you want me to buy them 3 years ago or 4 years ago? SK Hynix, I have it in my value fund, which I bought 5 years ago. That stock went up by 800%. Maybe I might have 1.5% today. But that is how I buy stocks. I
Mm.
will not buy it today when everything has gone up 8 times, right? I will want to make 8 times and then exit. No, so that is the broader idea. So if you're talking about hot stocks, see, this is another index. You're looking at a semiconductor index, PHLX, which is a US traded index versus a Nasdaq or an S&P 500. See at what multiples it's trading, close to 20 times multiples there. Look at Nasdaq and S&P 500, right? So what I'm broadly trying to say over here is valuations is of utmost importance. I'm open to buying any stock over there that fits our thesis. Only thing is I will not buy something that is trading at expensive valuations. If today a house is worth uh, in Bombay, typical house is worth 2 crores only. Today you don't even get anything at 1 crore. But if you want to buy a house worth 2 crores, will you pay 3 crores for that house? No, right? Why would I buy stocks at ridiculous valuation for your clients? पैसा नहीं बनेगा. पैसा बनाना है तो सस्ते में लेना चाहिए.
Hmm.
So trending hot stocks, I'll not get. I will get them way before they start trending. That is the idea. Whether they happen or not, 3 years, 5 years down the line, that is not my control. That will
Right.
happen if it has to happen. If I'm getting good businesses, the trend is in sector is trending, it will just catch up. Like SK Hynix, that was the thesis when we bought it in a value fund. We didn't know that there would be an AI or semiconductor rally in the last 2 3 years, right?
Yes.
So that's
So
totally
the
different.
reason asking this question is that most of the partners comes and says कि मेरे client के portfolio में ETFs हैं.
Huh.
नॉर्मली जब आप ईटीएफ्स खरीदते हो देन ईटीएफ्स में आपको लार्ज कैप ओरिएंटेड स्टॉक्स मिलते हैं राइट एंड यू
Mhm.
विल गेट और एक्यूमुलेटिंग द हायर स्टॉक्स आई मीन जो भी आपके जिसके भी प्राइसेस इवन हायर हैं वो स्टॉक्स भी पार्ट ऑफ द इंडेक्स होते हैं so
Hmm.
here, how you can differentiate is that it's a very hand-picked kind of a stocks you will get it, where the thorough research has been done by the DSP team across world. They are doing that. So the question here was ki whether if you are having the ETFs, whether you can invest in this particular fund or not. So the answer would be yes, you can because this particular product will give you a better diversification. And valuation wise, as he said, ki I'm not going to buy a stock who has run up already by 800 or 900%. So you will buy a stock which still has a value in the which can create a value in the portfolio. So we all understand that growth stocks and the value stocks probably they are following the value theme, right? So here the next question is uh, yeah, so Sheikh asked the simple question: how does this fund different from international mutual funds available in India? So as I said, Sheikh, mostly passive side we have international funds, and that's the differentiation where you are getting a value picks and well researched portfolio invested by the DSP. So that's the difference you will get it here. The next question is DSP converts INR to USD. So how do you take the money from the client? Basically, if one would like to understand,
So
Aditya.
let's say it's a very simple thing. When client fills the application form, puts his basic KYC details, gives a Aadhaar card, PAN card, cancel check. We create. You send us a scanned copy. We'll create a folio. Once the folio will take 2 to 3 days to open. Once the folio is created, of course, the communication will go to the client. The folio is created. You can now remit the money. So we have a dollar base HSBC account where you will transfer money in US dollars. Whatever, if you have filled in $5,000, you transfer $5,000. You have to convert from your INR to dollars if it is an INR based account, and transfer it to a dollar based account in gift, right? Once you do the remittance, typically 24 48 hours, 2 3 days tops, money hits the account, NAV gets allotted. And yeah, that's broadly about it. You have to remit the money. You can do it online, you can do it offline, no problem whatsoever. But yeah, I think online would be more convenient if your customers are comfortable with online banking.
Right, right, right. Okay. And the one question is on the expense ratio side. What is the expense ratio of this particular product?
1.75.
Okay, that's the total cost of the fund. Okay, so uh, I think one again a very hot topic which is going on. It's what's your or the in-house view on the SpaceX IPO as of now? Do you feel there is a value in this particular IPO, or will you? I mean, you guys are considering this particular product?
uh, Typically IPO companies, I see, in our underlying portfolio we buy companies which have a very long track record, 10 years, 20 years. So your new age IPOs will typically not qualify over there, honestly speaking. So we would not be participators in such IPOs.
Okay, okay, okay. And one question is, okay, Mr. Saurabh Singh interestingly asked, how do you decide the country allocation and how do you protect your portfolio from global turmoil, basically?
Okay. Now, how do you make your country allocation? The outcome of country allocation is pure from bottom up stock picking. So the fund manager is not seeing that this company is from XYZ country or not. If he likes the business, he likes the sector, he wants to take a certain percentage weight, he'll take it. And what you're seeing rest is the outcome, whether you know how much is the given country allocation or the sector allocation there. So it's pure bottom up outcome. This nothing is pre-decided that my sector allocation has to be so and so or my country allocation. We are index agnostic, country agnostic, sector agnostic, broadly barring a few sectors which are exclusions there. So yeah.
So basically, there is no benchmark plus minus kind of a thing you manage.
We do have a benchmark which is MSCI ACWI.
Hmm.
But the thing is, benchmark has 60% US market cap stocks only in the entire
Yes.
benchmark, which is
Yeah.
dominating the entire index. So as is as good as a US ETF or a S&P 500 because 60% is that's what it is.
Hmm.
My fund has 30% today in US. I could have 20% US allocation. I could have 40-50% also US allocation tomorrow. I have a very high active share. So what you are essentially paying for is a fund manager who's making really active calls, not hugging the benchmark. If you want benchmark hugging fund, then an ETF or an index fund is much better option for you. You will get and it's cheaper as well, right? But if you want an active positioning on the underlying portfolio, this fund will give you that. Uh, but the way the fund is run is that it's run like an absolute return fund.
Hmm.
We don't really look at how the benchmark is doing. Goal is to do 12 to 13% dollar returns. That is what we aim to deliver, irrespective of how benchmark appears to be.
Okay. Okay. Parallelly, the question was on the downturn as well. If we see the
Yeah.
global turmoil, how do you manage? Is there any kind of a mandate that you can sit on the cash, or there is some kind of a cutoff or some
So
cushion?
cash, see, cash is an outcome of not able to find opportunities. So
Hmm.
uh, assume there's a global meltdown happening, right? If it is a global meltdown happening across the board, there is no way that you will be able to maneuver away from it completely, unless I have the ability to hedge, which I
Hmm.
don't in this fund,
Correct.
right? But what comfort you can get today is that whenever a global meltdown happening, you are rest assured is that I have bought stocks at much more deserved valuation, cheaper than the broader market, and typically our downside should be relatively less because of margin of safety. That's what it would be true to label in that sense. So
Okay. Perfect. So I hope everybody's question has been answered. I can't see any questions. So thank you, participants, for making my life easier rather than, me asking questions. You have participated very well and at least, asked the questions which really, encouraged both of us, even Aditya and me. So thank you for that. And in case you guys have any question on this particular product, please mail us on mutual@nirmalbank.com. We would be happy to answer and you can connect directly with your RMs. We will, resolve your uh, queries, whatever it is related to product or in terms of operations and all. And thank you, Aditya. Thank you for clarifying the product and as well as answering all the queries. So
thank you for
thank you.
thank
Let's
you.
close the call today. Thank you
Sure.
so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you everyone. Bye.